Feathered royalty steps lightly across the water at dawn. As the first light spills across the reed-fringed lake, a world awakens. Here, Indigo, a magnificent purple swamphen, slips from the green curtain of the marsh. The air is cool and carries the sweet, earthy scent of mud, a fragrance punctuated by the distant clucking of moorhens and the yawn of a heron. Indigo is a specialist of the daylight hours, a creature perfectly at home where water threads through the tall grasses. Though its name might suggest otherwise, this is no pheasant, but a member of the rail family, a bird built from the ground up for navigating the intricate mazes of the marsh. Listen, the reeds tick and rustle under the gentle pressure of its astonishing toes. They spread impossibly wide, functioning like nature's own snowshoes, transforming a carpet of floating plants into a stable, walkable path. Indigo's brilliant red bill and the matching frontal shield on its forehead catch the early sun, glowing like embers. These are not just for show. They are vital tools for communication, used in face-to-face displays of dominance and courtship. With a practiced, almost casual poise, a nimble foot lifts a tender green shoot to its bill. Have you ever seen a bird dine with its toes? It is a display of dexterity that feels almost primate-like. Our guide in this world, Indigo, has been tracking the ripples of our presence since first light, a bold and inquisitive neighbor in this liquid landscape. Soon its voice rises and carries across the water, a symphony of sharp trumpets and guttural squawks that claim territory, rally a mate, and keep the family unit close and accounted for. This is a bird that prefers to walk and run across the greenery, swimming and flying only when absolutely pressed. Even then, its flight is short, a heavy and labored burst of power. Deep within the dense reed beds, nests are woven from the very stems that grow beneath their feet. In some regions, a fascinating social structure emerges as older offspring from previous seasons stay behind to help their parents defend the territory and feed the newest generation of downy black chicks. Wetlands are vanishing in many parts of the world, fragile ecosystems squeezed by human expansion. Yet, in other places, restored reed beds and new urban marshes are making a comeback. The purple swamphen is often one of the first colonists to arrive, its vibrant presence a vivid and audible sign that the delicate balance of water and grass is working once again. In a century where we are leaning on nature to buffer floods and filter our water, Indigo's very existence is a measure of health you can see and hear. As we follow this remarkable bird, consider sharing in the comments the one characteristic that has gripped you most. Next, we follow those incredible feet, because in a moment, Indigo will demonstrate just how these impossible toes turn a floating garden into a superhighway. Sunlit water shivers as Indigo steps onto a raft of lily leaves. The mid-morning air, now warmer, carries the rich smell of the sun-baked mud as beads of water tremble along the glossy green surfaces. A nearby frog chirps once, then falls silent, its world momentarily disturbed. Each leaf sighs under the gentle, even spread of those remarkable toes. They are the secret to its effortless grace on an unstable surface. Oversized, slender, and strikingly long, they distribute the bird's weight so perfectly that Indigo can traverse the lily pads without sinking. The toes open wide, creating a large surface area, then curl to clasp stems, hauling its body along. When a reed wobbles, Indigo pinches it closer, using its toes with the precision of fingers to maintain balance. As a diurnal creature, this bird trusts its keen vision and unwavering balance, choosing the bright hours of the day to move beyond the dense cover of the reeds one deliberate step at a time. Look closer at its face, and you see the glossy red bill and the prominent frontal shield. This is more than ornamentation. It is an honest signal, an avian identity card. The subtle contours and size help neighbors recognize individuals, and the color deepens and brightens during a breeding season, a direct reflection of a healthy diet and hormonal readiness. When tensions flare between rivals, shield meets shield with a brief percussive thud, a ritualized posture that settles rank and avoids serious injury. Once the dispute is resolved, the thick, powerful bill returns to its work, clipping tough stems and fibrous roots that many other birds cannot process. Its body stands upright on long legs that lifts its belly clear of the cool water, freeing its neck to scan the surroundings for opportunity or danger, all while that wide base of toes keeps it perfectly balanced. Crossing an open channel of water becomes a quick, frantic patter as its feet slap the surface and its wings drive short, muscular bursts of flight. All the while, the bright white feathers under its tail flick on and off like a signal lamp, a silent command to follow or a warning to be careful. Is a flash of white beneath the tail still subtle in a loud, vibrant marsh? It is a language of its own. Its short, rounded wings are built for powerful sprints, not for soaring long distances. They clap against the air, lifting the bird just over the tops of the rushes, before it coasts down again after only a few heartbeats. A heavy body and strong legs favor a quick dash or a nimble climb over a sustained cruise. This swamphen can swim and does so capably, yet it would much rather stride, run, hop, and leap through the reeds, its wings often held half open, not for flight, but for balance. All of this matters now more than ever. As wetlands shrink under the relentless advance of roads and rooftops, creatures built so precisely for this in-between world, neither fully land nor fully water, become living indicators, telling us how healthy our natural edges are. Day-active and boldly colored, the purple swamphen is a living gauge of ecosystem health that you can see with your own eyes. Citizen scientists and observers log sightings on simple phone applications, helping to track the recovery or loss of these vital habitats in urban lakes and restored ponds. The tools it carries, those grasping toes, the signaling shield, the sprinting wings, are not just biological curiosities, they are blueprints for survival in a rapidly changing world. Comment with the trait that grabbed you most and the reason it stuck with you. Next, when Indigo reaches for something green and stubborn, we will see how anatomy turns into brilliant strategy. A violet-blue bird threads a reed like a piece of pasta beneath the late morning light on the lake. The water hushes in the shallows as Indigo, our purple swamphen, steps from shadow into a brilliant glint of sun. The reed squeaks in protest as those long hand-like toes pinch and lift it from the water. One steady pull, a tidy rip, and a green ribbon of plant matter slides towards its bill, soft and wet. The feet hold the prize steady while the bill slices and processes it. Nothing is dropped back into the water unless the bird wills it. The core of its diet is simple and smart. Tender reed shoots and the buried starchy bulbs of aquatic plants fuel its steady, daylight feeding. Now and then, a small, unwary snail or a quick insect adds a crisp bump of protein. Yet these leafy green ribbons form the main course of most meals. Those splayed toes, which spread its weight across floating lily leaves, allow the swamphen to walk across the water's garden to reach the next choice stem. Meanwhile, its stout, powerful bill shears through tough fibers and peels mud-wrapped bulbs with neat precision. It is a diurnal specialist that trusts its senses of sight and touch in the open light, often punctuating its work with a soft, contented grunt that drifts through the reeds. Who taught a bird to use its feet like hands? It is a skill sharpened by instinct, honed by a lifetime of practice, visible in the small problems it solves on the fly, bracing against a stubborn bulrush, testing different angles, and leaning its weight just so until the plant's fibers finally give way. Sometimes the menu flips from greens to motion. A ripple tightens under a lily pad. The swamp hen freezes, its body a statue of coiled potential. It lowers its head and with a quick, wet click plucks a tiny tadpole from the water. One gulp and it is gone. That burst of high-energy protein is banked for a rainy hour, or for the demanding season when chicks need faster fuel for their rapid growth. Then it is back to the stems and bulbs, back to the rhythmic, meditative work of strip and chew. This calm confidence around the water is a product of masterful craft, not bravado, and it matters immensely today. As wetlands shrink and their shorelines are hardened by human development, each of these survival tactics helps inform restoration teams. They learn which plants to protect and which edges to soften to ensure that native reed strippers like the purple swamphen can continue their work of pruning and breathing life into the marsh. A flash of white beneath the tail passes the all-clear signal among the reeds, a small but vital message in a system that stays healthier when this bird is still here to trim and taste. Add your comment naming the single feeding trick or fact you liked best from this bird's impressive repertoire, and keep your eyes on the waterline. Just around the bend, someone else has noticed those green ribbons, and the next move will surprise you. Midday snaps, and indigo screams across the reeds. Heat shimmers off the black mud as a neighboring purple swamphen stiffens on a floating mat of vegetation. The metallic, high-pitched squeal ricochets through the reed walls, a sound that cuts through the drone of insects and the whisper of the wind. It is a daylight border post, a vocal declaration voiced when the marsh is at its brightest and busiest. Indigo's tail flicks high, a clean, startling flash of white against its deep violet-blue plumage, and the neighbor freezes for a heartbeat. In the world of rails, that undertail flag is a multi-purpose signal. It can mean alarm or simply demand attention, keeping kin together while they forage. But it can also switch to a defensive strobe the instant danger pricks the air. Why wave a white flag if you have no plans to surrender? Because the flash also declares, "I see you," to any stalking hunter, robbing them of the element of surprise. The bright red frontal shield, a structure of keratin fused to the bone of the skull, tilts forward aggressively. Its gloss and size track health and hormone levels, so many standoffs are settled with these visual cues alone, without a single blow being struck. A gust of wind rattles the reeds. The swamp fans its dark wings and arcs low to a nearby sedge clump, its long legs dangling. A short, deliberate dash that chooses the safety of cover over the exposure of height. If pressed, they will meet a threat head-on with their gripping feet and a thick, punishing bill. And though they swim readily across open channels, they much prefer stepping from leaf to leaf. Family members often rush in to support an individual during a dispute, forming a loud, fanning crowd that works together to push an intruder back. As the rival lowers its posture, our bird lets the aggressive squeal sink to a rough, guttural croak. A series of mirrored struts and brief pauses mark a truce, at least for today. Mated pairs frequently call together in a duet to reinforce their bond and their joint claim on a territory. In several regions, older offspring linger for a season or more to help defend this territory, a cooperative system that increases the family's success. Over time, familiar neighbors learn to display less and chase less, establishing a stable social order. Bold by nature, purple swamphens may even test a dog walking on a path before slipping back into cover. Their entire rhythm leans toward daylight, with noon skirmishes being common when the heat vibrates and the air is alive with the clicking of grasshoppers. In wetlands pressed by the noise of roads and footpaths, they have been observed shifting the timing and pitch of their calls to cut through the constant hum of traffic, adjusting their ancient language to keep their families coordinated in a modern world. Knowing these signals helps urban planners set aside quiet refuges and create reed buffers, ensuring the language of the marsh remains audible. Tell us in the comments which characteristic or fact stole the scene for you and why it wins your vote today.
Because when the light slants toward evening, these same signals will be used to guard something far more fragile. A bright red bill ferries a freshly cut reed across a velvet lake at day's end. The late afternoon sun hushes the water to a soft, golden ripple as a purple swamphen nudges the stem into a growing structure within the reeds. A mate answers with a low grunt, its own enormous toes spread wide on the slick leaves. The pieces meet where water touches leaf and the surface steadies. This is the purple swamphen's blueprint for buoyancy, a nest platform lashed among living stems so that it rises and falls with the lake itself. It is not a random heap, but a masterfully engineered plan, woven over and under until the entire platform can flex without tearing apart.
The giant toes, so useful for walking, now become construction tools, gripping and placing each strand, steadying what will soon carry their young. With the raft taking shape, the next stage of their life together begins. Under the protective canopy of the reeds, teamwork hums. Both birds add to the structure, both birds guard the territory, and both birds will take turns settling onto the nest to keep the clutch of eggs warm and safe from the damp. Shared parenting is a hallmark of this species, a collaboration that begins long before the first shell is even tapped from within. Even the anchor points are collaborative. Stems are pulled just snug enough to hold, but not so tight that they choke the living plants, allowing the platform to slide up and down with a changing tide or to shrug off a powerful gust of wind. A handful of blotched, earth-toned eggs will soon rest in a soft cup of finer blades at the center, and the pair will continue to trim the edges with those scarlet bills that look like a shield but act like a precision knife. The raft holds steady, an ark of their own making, ready for what comes next. Dawn lays a whisper of steam on the water. One egg ticks, then another, and soon charcoal black down spills into the day like soot brushed from a hearth. The chicks seem impossibly small for this vast world, yet their feet are already enormous, each long toe unfurling to spread their tiny weight across the leaves of their floating home. The parents lean in with what they have prepared, the tender hearts of reeds, peeled and softened, and perhaps a tiny snail, shaken clean of mud. First meals require patience as much as calories. Morsels pass from bill to bill. The chicks squeak, a sound that is half hunger, half hello. How do you teach a tiny puffball to master a world of water and wind? You do it by raising them on moving platforms, where balance and the need for shelter are learned with every single step. Those extra platforms tucked throughout the reed corridors are not just decoration. They are resting stages, hideouts, and halfway houses, allowing the young to practice toddling across a liquid world. They hop from one mat to the next, stopping to dry, to preen, or to vanish in an instant when a shadow slides overhead. Sometimes last season's brood stays on as quiet, diligent helpers, dropping off food and adding their watchful eyes to the daily flow. This family architecture turns the marsh into a neighborhood of floating porches, each spot ready to lift when the water surges. In a place where the ground never stands still, their plan is simple and brilliant: make more ground. Storms can arrive heavy and fast, and water levels can jump dramatically between one morning and the next. That makes the Purple Swamphen's design feel urgent and relevant, a lesson for wetland restoration and even for the management of city park ponds. Build for movement, not against it. A floating nursery does not fear a flooded night. It remains safe as the water level shifts. When wildlife managers mimic that strategy, more young birds survive, and our marshes keep their vibrant music of wings and calls. Let's review what this remarkable bird proves. First, a nest can float and flex with the rhythms of a lake. Second, a true partnership means both parents build, both sit, and both feed. Third, chicks hatch black and buoyant,
equipped with long toes that are destined to master the marsh. Fourth, extra platforms are strategically placed to create a safe route through a world of wind and water. And fifth, in some seasons, older kin return as helpers, turning a pair into a powerful cooperative team. All of it says the same thing. Survival here is a craft, not a stunt. If one of these details grabbed you, the giant toes, the floating raft, the black down of the chicks, the helper crew, or the carefully prepped meals, tell us in the comments which trait won your vote and why.
Because when dusk pushes a final ripple through the reed maze and the raft lifts another finger's width on the rising water, a new test will step out of the shadows and Indigo will turn to meet it. Gold light settles on the lake as the reeds hush and footsteps slow. Water laps gently at a wooden jetty. A dragonfly passes, its wings a faint cellophane buzz. The air holds the warm scent of reeds and the cool, clean smell of mud. And the purple swamphen stands close as dusk deepens. In this last forgiving light, its crimson frontal shield and bill shine with an inner fire, and its violet-blue body looks as if it were carved from shadow and twilight. We have spent the day beside a bird that lives by the clock of the sun, and the evening now invites a final look, a moment of reflection. Long ago, on a Mediterranean island, artists of the Minoan civilization pressed lime and pigment into fresh plaster. They shaped a tall, long-legged blue bird striding beside lilies, a figure many scholars link to the purple swamphen. They captured its confident walk, its violet-blue sheen, and the bright shield above its bill that signals status and strength. We look across 3.5 millennia and see the same timeless presence, a creature standing steady in the shallows where color and life hold fast. From the reeds comes a clean flash of white undertail feathers, raised and lowered in quick, deliberate pulses. It is a social signal, an alarm that can spread through the group, a way to say, stay alert without creating chaos. Perhaps that is why ancient artisans set this bird on their palace walls, because it speaks with color and motion when words are not enough. That kind of clear, unambiguous signal matters now. We live in a world of fires, droughts, and floods that test our wetlands, and a voice that gathers many to a common purpose can still be heard above the noise. Today, we watched Indigo hook a reed with those long, dexterous toes, lift it like a careful hand, and feed it to its bill. We saw how those toes spread its weight so it can walk on floating leaves and climb dense stalks. We learned that its short flights are for covering gaps, but its feet are its primary mode of travel. We saw the reed squeak in its grip as the husk was peeled away and the sweetness taken, a simple routine that will greet the new morning. In the nesting season, we discovered that its home itself floats on a platform of woven stems, anchored yet buoyant as the water rises and falls. Parents ferry materials, helpers sometimes assist, and downy black chicks follow the soft grunts of their guardians, while the bright shield above them guides them like a lighthouse in the reeds. When a shadow passes, the white tail flashes, and the family slips into cover while their calls remain steady, a network of calm reassurance. A community like this seems simple until you notice how many intricate, moving parts work together to keep it afloat. Dusk meets you here at the water's edge, and the purple swamphen holds steady in the deepening color. As a species, it is generally doing well across its vast range. Yet its stage is the wetland, and wetlands continue to disappear, even as we recognize their immense value in capturing carbon, cleansing water, and sheltering the countless lives we depend on. Please share the single detail from Indigo's day that stayed with you, and tell us why. Your observation, your note of appreciation can help guide the next pair of eyes that comes to watch at dawn.